Not pursuing a relationship after learning my date is transgender? I'm a cisgender lesbian woman in my early 30s who recently decided to venture into online dating after years of meeting people organically. While I had some trepidation about using dating apps, largely because I've seen how impersonal and judgmental they can be, I figured it was a good way to meet women who share my interests and values. On these platforms, I've come across profiles that explicitly state, "No trans women," or similar sentiments. Seeing such statements has always made me uncomfortable. To me, they come across as exclusionary and unkind, and they don't align with my belief in treating everyone with dignity and respect. I've never felt it necessary to add such disclaimers to my own profile because I've always approached dating with an open heart, but I also recognize my personal preferences and boundaries when it comes to physical and emotional attraction. To clarify, I have no issue with trans people, and I've formed deep friendships with trans men and women in the past. However, when it comes to romantic relationships, I've always known that I'm physically attracted only to partners who have female genitalia. This is a deeply personal preference, not a judgment of anyone's identity or worth. Still, I wondered how such preferences might manifest in real-life dating scenarios. Until recently, I'd never had to confront this question directly. A few weeks ago, I matched with a woman who, at first glance, seemed perfect. Her photos exuded confidence and warmth, and her profile suggested a creative, adventurous personality. We both shared a passion for the arts, loved trying new cuisines, and had a mutual love for the outdoors. Our chats quickly turned into long conversations about everything from our favorite books to childhood memories. It felt effortless, like reconnecting with someone I'd known for years. Encouraged by this connection, I asked her out for coffee, and she eagerly accepted. When we met in person, the chemistry was undeniable. She was stunningly beautiful, kind, and funny, and her presence was magnetic. As we talked, it became clear that our connection was as strong in person as it had been online. I felt so at ease with her, and for the first time in a while, I allowed myself to imagine the possibility of something meaningful developing. About halfway through the date, after we'd both shared stories about our lives and aspirations, she paused, looking slightly nervous. I could sense there was something important she wanted to say. Taking a deep breath, she said, "I want to be honest with you about something before we go any further. I'm transgender. I had breast augmentation a few years ago, but I haven't had bottom surgery yet, and I'm not sure if I ever will." Her admission caught me off guard. I wasn't upset or angry. If anything, I appreciated her courage and vulnerability in sharing such a personal part of her life. Still, I couldn't deny the complicated emotions it stirred within me. I'd never dated a trans woman before, and while I didn't have any preconceived notions about what that would entail, I was also keenly aware of my physical preferences and the role they play in my romantic relationships. In that moment, I thanked her for trusting me with such sensitive information. I reassured her that I appreciated her openness and that she should always feel comfortable being true to herself. We continued the date, and I genuinely enjoyed the rest of our time together. She was smart, kind, and engaging, everything I'd been looking for in a partner. Yet, as much as I liked her as a person, I couldn't ignore the internal conflict I was feeling. When I got home, I spent hours reflecting on the situation. I thought about our connection, her bravery in sharing her truth, and my own feelings and boundaries. I knew that while I respected her deeply and admired her courage, I couldn't pursue a romantic relationship knowing that my physical preferences didn't align with her anatomy. It was a painful realization because I truly valued her as a person and didn't want to hurt her feelings. The next day, I reached out to her and explained my thoughts as gently and honestly as I could. I told her how much I appreciated getting to know her and how much I admired her authenticity. I emphasized that my decision wasn't a reflection of her worth or identity but rather about my own boundaries and comfort in a relationship. I wanted her to know that she deserved someone who could love and accept her fully, without hesitation or compromise. Her reaction was understandably emotional. She accused me of leading her on and suggested that my decision was rooted in discrimination. I tried to explain that this wasn't about her being trans but about my personal preferences, which I've always been aware of. She was hurt, and I couldn't blame her for feeling that way, but I also felt that I needed to be true to myself and honest about my feelings. Since then, I've been grappling with guilt and doubt. Did I handle the situation the right way? Should I have approached it differently? Some of my friends have been supportive, reassuring me that it's okay to have personal preferences and that honesty is always the best policy. Others have suggested that I should have given the relationship a chance, arguing that emotional connection is more important than physical compatibility. As much as I understand both perspectives, I can't help but feel conflicted. I never intended to hurt her or make her feel rejected. But I also know that pursuing a relationship when I wasn't fully comfortable wouldn't have been fair to either of us. This experience has left me questioning not only my actions but also the broader implications of personal preferences in dating and how they intersect with issues of identity and inclusion. Let's read some comments. First comment. I completely understand where you're coming from, and I think it's important to emphasize the value of being honest about your boundaries in any situation like this. You handled it in a respectful and thoughtful manner, and from what you've described, it sounds like you genuinely enjoyed her company and appreciated who she is as a person. It's perfectly okay to recognize and accept that you may not feel a romantic or physical attraction to someone, even if they are an incredible individual with many admirable qualities. You're not obligated to pursue a relationship or connection that doesn't align with your comfort zone, values, or feelings. At the same time, I can imagine how she might have felt hurt or vulnerable, as opening up to someone and expressing feelings often involves a lot of emotional courage. It's not easy to be that vulnerable, especially when there's uncertainty about how the other person might respond. It sounds like you approached the situation with care and empathy, which is really commendable. Even though honesty can be painful, it's ultimately kinder and more respectful than leading someone on or pretending to feel something you don't. Hopefully, with time, she'll come to appreciate your sincerity, even if it stings in the moment. Second comment. I think you did a commendable job handling this situation with kindness and respect. It's not always easy to navigate such delicate topics, but being upfront about your feelings is crucial. Everyone is entitled to their personal preferences, and it's important to remember that those preferences don't make you a bad person or someone who discriminates unfairly. Attraction is such a deeply personal and multifaceted thing. It's not something we can force or control, even when we genuinely care about the other person's feelings. What matters is that you approach the conversation with the intention of being considerate, honest, and respectful. You didn't dismiss her as a person or devalue her in any way, which shows you truly value her as a human being. Instead of stringing her along or pretending to feel something you didn't, you made the difficult choice to be truthful. That takes courage, and it's a sign of your respect for her. Her response to this must have been difficult to hear, but it's also comforting to know she recognizes your efforts to be kind and understanding. It's always challenging when honesty leads to hurt feelings, but that doesn't mean honesty is wrong. The fact that you cared about how she would feel and handled things with as much sensitivity as possible shows your character. Third comment. This situation touches on an important and often misunderstood topic: consent. It's crucial to acknowledge the role that honest communication plays in fostering trust and mutual respect in relationships. This is especially true when it comes to deeply personal and sensitive matters like romantic or sexual attraction. I know this might sound controversial to some, but I've noticed a recurring issue in online discussions involving trans women or femmes. It seems to center around the complexities of disclosure and how that intersects with societal expectations and personal safety. There's a fine balance between wanting to live authentically as oneself and respecting the boundaries and preferences of potential partners. When someone is making decisions about entering a relationship, especially a sexual one, they need to do so with all the relevant information. Attraction isn't just about personality or connection. It often includes physical preferences, including genital preferences. While it might seem reductive to some, this is one of the rare situations where what's in your pants becomes a legitimate factor in someone's decision-making. For trans individuals, the decision to disclose their identity can be incredibly fraught. Many choose to withhold that information initially to avoid becoming targets of violence or discrimination, which is sadly a very real threat. However, entering into a relationship without being upfront about one's identity can lead to feelings of betrayal or discomfort for the other person once the truth comes out. While it's important to challenge societal biases and encourage greater acceptance, deception isn't the way to achieve that. Transparency, when it's safe to do so, helps to foster trust and understanding. It's also worth noting that rejection can be a deeply emotional experience, but it's crucial not to frame it as a personal attack or respond with entitlement. Just as everyone has the right to live as their authentic self, others have the right to their preferences and boundaries. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to relationships, and while rejection is painful, it's an inevitable part of life that we all experience at some point. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this story. It's a sensitive and nuanced topic, and discussions like these are an opportunity to deepen our understanding of each other. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful real-life stories. If you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you never miss out on updates. Thank you for your support, and we hope to see you again soon.